and start recording. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live people and hopefully live chat, if I don't break it again. And I'm back in the Aviary book with my Dr. Martin's hydrus. But they're in a little palette and they've dried. And that makes them that little bit... Sorry, there's something going on in the kitchen. That makes it that little bit easier to manipulate from kind of dark to light. Very similar to this one when I was doing Thumper, and I did it twice. So I think this is my first attempt, and I like the idea that I was kind of thinking about form, so it wasn't just colouring in. So from dark, if you just carried on, because it's a rigger, the dampness automatically dilutes the colour. Works very similar to the chameleon pens, but in the opposite way. There's colour and it goes to light, whereas the chameleons are the other way. And it's a natural progression to some very, very pale, but all those pinks come from the original dark red. All those purple shades are all from one dark original purple. And so I quite enjoyed these colours in this type of book. So when I found the aviary, the aquarium and the menagerie, because the menagerie is the one I bought for my daughter and I photocopied it, and she's using proper pencils. So I've decided that. So I quite like the head, but then I kind of made a bit of a mess of the body because it wasn't dry. But this is a practice. It's the first one in the page. You've got to learn not to be too precious with it. This is colouring in. It's playing. So I've had to put a piece of kitchen roll, which I'm not used to doing. And this is the colour that I was playing with. So this is how much colour I've been using. So I'm going to use it the same way as before with just a dot. So that's the green there. And so I've got kind of the colour on the end, and all that's a damp brush. And that's basically how I'm going to be working. So I'm going to take this stem, and I'll have to take my glasses off in a minute. I tell a lie, actually. I might not. We'll see how we go. I've got 3 riggers. I've got a number 3, a number 1, and a 3/0, which is the one I'm using now. And I'm hoping that, of course, not used any more ink, watercolour. And that's given me a natural progression from the original green colour right the way to almost nothing. So I quite like that. Now I'm actually going to go to the number 1 brush, which I've been using earlier as well. Quite like these brushes. You can work quite damp, but you can get some nice watercolour effects. So I've been using them with different watercolour mediums. I've been using professional watercolours, the hydrus, and various others. And the riggers work quite well for that because you get the watercolour effect without the water. So thanks for joining me, everybody, and I say welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream for ustream.tv and also recorded for YouTube, so that people from the corners of the globe can pop in and not miss out as well. So my idea so there is a purple on here as well, which is here. Now that's dried, but as soon as I touch that colour, so I'm using a paintbrush onto a paper towel this time. So it's quite. In fact, I think that's wrong. Don't do that. I use it on a. If you take the excess off on a paper towel, your brush becomes very dry. If you take it off with a baby wipe or a wet wipe, so I'm kind of dunking into there, I will find myself in a minute, dunk into there, and then twisting to a point. So that's a damp brush. And again, I've just spilt that, but there's about a tablespoon in there, so it keeps things quite dry as well, which I quite like. And then I'm just going to touch the purple. And what I want is colour on the end and damp. And that will give me a traditional watercolour way of working. I wish I could snap that off. I think I can, can't I? I put my professional watercolour at the other side. I was just hoping I could take that, because that's getting on my nose. I want it that way around as well. But if I break it, they're only £1 or £2, but I won't be able to put it back together. That's what I'm worried about. No, it's not going to do that. So I'm going to have to kind of so I'm going to start with these. I want to start dark purple and go to pale. Now, I normally would have done a photocopy, because that's what I normally do. So I advise everybody to do a photocopy and have a play. And because I've talked for too long, and there's lights on here, although it's not quite a humid atmosphere in the UK, because there's 6 lights on, that's kind of, it's okay, is that? But that's quite nice. It's gone from dark to light. I'm going to take the goggles off. So all I'm doing is going into, again, one wet brush, twisting onto a damp baby wipe, and then just touching the purple colour to have the purple on the end. And then I'm just kind of going to stroke into there. And keep going. Now this is a little bit darker, this one, but it gives you a natural blend without blending. There's no pressure on your hands, which of course I love. So that was quite nice, and it's given it from a really deep colour to a really dark one. I could go over that one again, and again, that's almost dry. You can touch it, smudge it, it's not going to go anywhere. I wouldn't advise it if you don't have to, but if you make a mistake. So again, and the lovely thing is, I've used all that purple, so I'm not wasting any colour, which again, tight Yorkshire lass, love that. So all I'm doing again is just dipping into this, twisting it round so I've got a bit of colour, and then teasing that colour into that line there. And again, such a nice, easy way to work. Has to be easy. I don't need any pressure. All the springiness is in the rigger. But it has to be a rigger. It won't work with a big paintbrush because it'd be too wet. And the riggers were invented for the old masters that used to do the big tall ships, and when they were doing all the ropes and sheets of all the ropes holding the sails on, they wanted a continuous line, obviously, and so they have the rigger. And this is why it works for my watercolour, dry watercolouring, is a damp brush, a tiny bit of colour, and you have a watercolour effect without all the water. So it's taken me about 4 years to get it to this stage of finding the perfect brush for the perfect watercolouring. But I think it works. And I've got about a tablespoon of water there. So again, that's what I've used, dipping the brush. Nothing's coming out. Twisting it on a baby wet wipe. Now the only thing you've got to watch is eventually that baby wet wipe will be getting saturated, because it's soaking water up, but not at the extent. In fact, if I put that there, can see what I'm doing. But you can't mess about, because that dryness is perfect amount of dryness. And if you stop and natter or stop to do something else, it's amazing that that dryness just disappears and you don't get that lovely blend. And it depends on the different size of area to what size rigger you've got. So I've just bought some rather large riggers. These are Pro Art. There's number 103, and there's a 6, a 5 and a 3. But compared to those, they're different. I bought those 3 because I'm going to be using different watercolours, and I think they will work in the same way. And sorry, I'm trying to keep them upright so I don't knock the brush end. And it's dry. So I hope everybody's okay with that. And again, now I've got this kind of set up. Again, I've twisted to a point, so it's not saturated, but it's not dry. And just teasing a little bit of colour onto the end. And natural curve. Turn the page naturally, so it's easy to work, and you've got more chance of staying in the lines if you do that. And again, teasing the colour across. And say thanks for watching, thanks for joining everybody. Really like this way of working. And when I go to the ones underneath, then that should be as well quite good. So once you get once you've done it with a photocopy and had a practice, it becomes a lot easier, and you find which bit you like best. Oh, you might try it and not like it at all, or you might think, oh, that's easy. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, on and off, and never thought to alter how we've painted and drawn for years. And I pretty much think that a drop of colour and a paintbrush and a tablespoon of water is the 21st century travel kit. So you don't need tons of bottles of water, and you can still get a lovely watercolour effect. And bearing in mind, this is not watercolour paper. It's quite nice quality, but it's only a book page. It's not kind of really expensive. You'll have to excuse my stomach. It's decided it wants to have a rumble. So again, just teasing a little bit of colour. And as a tight Yorkshire lass, you don't waste a lot of colour. So again, I love that. And there's no mess. I spilt a tablespoon of water the other day, and it's kind of, that's about as much as you're going to do. And because I'm a bit clumsy now with my hands, I can't really do with things that are too... So that's hopefully giving quite a nice effect. What's that? Heather is the master. The master of what? Oh, have you got some Dr. Martens? Yeah, they're pretty awesome, aren't they? I mean, if you think all this... Oh, so I shouldn't do that, but it's kind of there's half a fluid US ounce, 15 mil. And so that's kind of like 14 mil. But there is one drop there. And that one drop is going to last about 6 pages. It's just unbelievable. And I'm still, as soon as I finish this, I'm dunking into there. Now I've talked now, so I'll have to do that. And that's the baby white. There's hardly any colour being wasted, which has got to be pretty good. So I'm dunking in here every single time. So that means that this drop of paint here is being used it's not going in your water pot and being pushed down the thing. Oh, sorry, I've gone off. I've gone oof again. So I love these waters, and they are professional watercolours. And this is without even any mixing. I haven't done any colour mixing. I might do that when we get Inktober out of the way. I might do colour mixing with these hydrus. But I couldn't get a cerulean blue. On the website it said it had one. When my daughter went in, she couldn't find one. And it's fairly quick as well. It's a fairly quick way of working. So I have to say, just every time. And it works better when they're dry. I struggled the other day because they weren't dry. This is the way to use them when they're dry. So of course you've got pure solid colour there. And then as the paint works its way out and you stroke that colour out, you're reactivating the colour with the damp brush. And the damp is making the colour. Oops, we've got a small one there. The damp is making the colour reactivate back into a watercolour again. As I said, just so love working this way. And you can do it in a space of 12-inch square on a tray. You can do this on your knee, in bed, you can do it anywhere, in the hospital. I did buy this little book, I think it was this one, for my friend who was hurt her leg and she was in hospital for a while. And I knew she'd be quite a long time. So I bought her this book and I thought it would help her. But then my daughter spent a few days with her in hospital because it was a summer holiday. And they were playing the morph game, not the drawing game. You have plasticine and you make shapes. Is it called No, not Picturica. But instead of drawing what you want somebody to guess what it is, you make it out of plasticine. It's a good game, so we're having lots of fun. But I really like that effect. I'm going to have to buy the book again because I did make a boo-boo. And that's because I'd forgotten these were wet. I hadn't let them dry. They dry overnight, a couple of days. A bit sticky. I've done that now. Tons of colour in there now. They still remain sticky. This is why I put them on the plastic in my little book. And obviously sometimes you'll get slightly more purple on the end than you would other times. And then that's going to give you a little bit of variation by doing the same technique, which is brilliant. You don't have to do anything different. Just some are going to have slightly more purple than others, or whatever colour you use. And that gives that change of colour, again, different, which I love. Does anybody have any questions? Is everybody okay with that? If the space is bigger, I'll use the bigger rigger. If the space is smaller. Oh, thanks. Thanks everybody for watching in. Oh, bye Dorothy, darling. Take care. Thanks for dropping in and thanks for the info about how the idiot of the century got rid of chat and getting it back for me. Take care. I hope you have a pleasant day. I was a bit earlier today, I have to say. But I do appreciate everybody popping in and out. It's wonderful. And everybody's so supportive. So this is a live stream for Ustream.tv, but also being recorded for YouTube. So anybody in YouTube land, do pop back to Ustream and have a natter with our wonderful gang, because they're a bunch of really amazing people. And everybody's so supportive and inspirational. And I do tend to move things around quite a lot. turn the page round, which is why when you work on a photocopy paper, you see I've messed that up now. That's going to have to be a pale one, because I was thinking about something else. You just have to keep an eye on what you're doing and tease that colour out. But because these are professional watercolours, a little bit like the others, the colour and pigment is so fab that it allows you to manipulate the colour better than a cheapy set probably would. So again, and they are about £5 in the UK. It's 50 some for the set, but again, I wish I'd not bought the set now. I wish I'd bought individual ones, really. But it is a good set. You know, I can put these drops on here and just off we go without having to think about colour mixing or anything. You know, this is it, 3 drops and colour. And I don't always want to do colour mixing, I have to say. I enjoy it when I'm using the other system, but it's sometimes just quite nice, especially if you're out and about, to just pick up another system. Now, for some reason, I'd put too much on there. I got too much colour and it had gone dark, but that doesn't matter because there's a bit of a twist going on here with these. And so, again, it's just a couple of strokes of the colour, no more. And that will just naturally let that blend right round there. And probably it's the wrong angle, actually. It's probably not the easiest angle if you stop. And these are a lot longer, of course. This was a lot easier to do because we were just touching one little tiny area. So is everybody okay with that? Is everybody happy? Can everybody see what I'm doing? Do let me know if you want to ask anything. Just pop it in caps. I can just about see where chat is, which is quite good. So I'm going to go to the top and I'm just going to follow it round, basically. So again, I'm not using this. I'm just using it for protection. Dunking into that flat pot and a touch of the colour, and then away we go. And you're not going to do every single one exactly the same. But if you were doing a mandala or something, where it has to be continuity, if you have to have some kind of pattern, see, now I've got 2 choices, because I've been talking. I can do that and naturally bring that colour out. But you don't think there's any colour on there. But when I put the one underneath, you'll see there is. And they're so vibrant, these colours. Oh, sorry, yes, Timothy, I've got set 1. But I've added to it. I've got set 1. They're about £54 from Fred Aldson. It's a Manchester, quite an old Manchester art shop. And it's series 1. But they do the teals and the other colours, but they're not professional watercolours. They're not hydrus. But they have the unusual colours, the vivid pinks and purples. What I call unreal colours, if that makes any sense. But there's quite a few in the pot. I mean, there's no reason if you want to just have one of everything. But I'm going to do some colour mixing because I haven't got the right blue. I haven't got the palest blue. And when we did the colour mixing with the cerulean blue, that's the blue that's in the printer. This is the most important blue. Having said that, you don't get really bright purples if you don't have French ultramarine. And I have to say, I can't quite get French ultramarine. Although I haven't properly tried. you need French ultramarine for the beautiful purples. But I suppose in today's climate, £50, £50, £60 for these fab colours. And there's no reason, as I say, I'm going to do some colour mixing, why you can't drop that red and that yellow together. So you've got 2 drops to get the orange. You don't have to buy the orange. And again, when I get the blue, I'm going to do the colour mixing. I'm going to do the colour mixing with 6 colours. Just to prove that you can do anything with 6 colours. And it's a journey, is that. It's a real journey, is colour mixing with 6 colours. It's like I now don't make browns with red and blues. I make browns with yellow. I make an orange and I make a green and then I make a brown. As I say, I'm just waiting for this colour book to come. I'm hoping that might just be enough to do that without being too dark, because I've been talking. So that's another thing that I want to do. So that I want to go through basically everybody's stash that they have, so they can get the full potential out of whatever they've got. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? But I'm obsessed at the moment with these colours. So each colour book I'm using different watercolours, but basically the same technique, stroking the colour out with a damp brush. Oh, thank you, Timothy. So has anybody got any questions? Oh, if you've got a real peacock, actually no, somewhere I have a real peacock feather as well. You could do proper colours. You could do true to life colours, I should say. So I'm working my way around this kind of peacock feather. Like to keep that into frame. Oopsie. And still using, this is the same pot of water. And just stroking the colour out. I will talk properly in a minute. I'm going to swap to a 3-0 paintbrush, because this is a half size area to this. So a little bit like the camellia pens, you want the blend to be natural, not like that. I've made a boo-boo, you see. So the idea is, it works exactly the same. A couple of kind of activate, I don't actually need to go to the bottom really. Colour on the end, and then all I have to do is to stroke this area, and I will get a natural. That wasn't quite wet enough. And because this is watercolour, it will move again, because there's a lot of pigment in there. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to that one. I've got a lot of colour on the end there, so what I'm going to do is turn that round so it's easy for me, and I'm going to do this one here. There's still quite a lot of colour. I'm just stroke that off because I don't want that. I want this to be pale at the end here. I mean, you could do it all flat colours if you wanted, but I just quite like the idea that that's giving it some natural, what I would call watercolour effect. So I'm going back with the small rigger again, and I'm just going to keep it literally straight away. Do it. That's better. So because I don't want too much dampness, and then I want to tease that up there. So that's better. Sometimes you need to have a bit of a play. That's why if you do a photocopy, I'd have known the difference between doing this long one and this short one. Oops, sorry. But so love these. If you have a look on YouTube, there's a few artists that use these, and then on their website, I think, oops, There is one as well. I've made a bit of a mistake, but I can get away with that when I get back later on. The colours are just out of this world. They really are. But I would presume if you have the 2 reds, the 2 yellows, and I did buy those, it's just the blue I'm struggling with at the moment, then I'm sure you can do your own colour mixing. And as I say, you know, if you tell yourself, right, 2 drops of purple, 2 drops of blue is the blue, 2 drops of red is the red, 1 drop of yellow and 1 drop of red is an orange, 1 drop of yellow and 1 drop of green is a green. Now you probably will have to play, that's why I'm going to do this, because you probably find it's half the blue and half the red, because obviously they're very vibrant. But to get all these shades from that area, which is as big as my finger. Oh, sorry, puppy alert. It's the bin men. It's recycling today. So again, that's another thing I find amazing, that all those shades, and I'm using one brush, and I don't need a big palette. I can just do that. Oh, sorry, bark alert. So I'm going to do that one actually. So I'm trying to keep that in frame so you can see the little purple that I'm using. But it is so much easier to keep in frame. Sorry, I do apologise. It's the recycling little man. He's going to be barking for a few minutes. Sorry. So this has got quite damp, so I'm going to squeeze the water out, because you only want a damp baby wipe. You don't want to wet, I do apologise, the bin man. The actual lorry's going past. Sorry. Oh. Alfie doofers. Yes. Sorry about that. He makes more noise than they do. And the other thing is there's a cheaper version called Ecoline, which I haven't got hold of yet. And so that's another thing to think about if you didn't want to spend £50 odd. So I'll have another look at that. Oh, sorry. No. You don't come in here barking. Behave. Be quiet now. Thank you. Shh. Hush, puppy. Good boy. Be good boy. Hush, puppy. He only has to come in here because he gets to the front window and bark. So I'm just going to pick on that one because it's a little bit bigger. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, gosh. Oh, gee whiz. That puppy's wonderful. The other two, I haven't even lifted their head up. It's like, yes, okay. Take the house, burgle everything, take what you want, but just don't disturb me. Do it quietly. So you can't have everything, can you? So, oops, sorry about that. So as I say, again, this is another quiet, easy way to work. I've squeezed the water out, and that's the red because I touched my finger on it actually, but I'm just basically doing this, submerging it, making sure there's no drip on the end either, twisting it, then immediately putting it into there just to get a little bit of purple on the end. So that enables that's not going to dry. That purple is going to come out straight away and be stroked onto the page. And I couldn't do this with a pen. You'd have to take about 6 pens out, take the tops off and put them back in, and I just couldn't do that. I'm basically working with one little drop. That's all I'm doing. Just using the drop and teasing it out. And I'd say I just love this way of working because you can touch it and it's complete. It's not even damp. But I've just put water on there. And I just find that quite amazing. So it's a lot easier way of working. Just thinking about these little spaces here. And again, you just have to look at the pattern and then just pick them off one at a time. that one goes. I don't know where that one goes. I'm just going to do this one purple. And then because I know what this brush can do, I can then go in with this one, which has given me, that's in front of that one, and carried on behind there. And that's given me continuity as well. So I hope everybody can see that. Is everybody okay? I've done something to chat again. I do apologise. If you bear with me 2 seconds. Hopefully that's better. So again, I'm just kind of just teasing the colour. And I'm not actually even touching that drop anymore now. So I suppose if you had a real peacock, you can actually do it so realistic. I've just guessed at these colours. And because this is kind of really tight work here, I'm not being so kind of possessive about the shading. I just want a little bit of variation on there. And then when I've gone to that one, that's going to be paler, that will be paler, and that will be paler. And then I can just gently tease those behind there. So is everybody okay with that? Can everybody see what everybody's doing? If I just put that over there, do you think that's okay? Oh, is the Echo line only in the UK? Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? That's a shame. But I have a secret weapon. Because in that case I can do a giveaway every week of 20 drops, or however many I've got of these, on a plastic sheet. And because it's dry, I don't think the post will have any, well, they won't know what it is, will they? So if I have a drop of this on everybody's, that would be quite good, wouldn't it? That's a way of getting it out of the country. Cheap and cheerful. That might be another way of doing it. So again, because I've been talking, I've got to dunk that brush fresh. Otherwise there wouldn't be enough liquid to get it right round. And then just, I quite like the idea of that one being very dark. And that's because I've done this before. You know, I've done about 20 there. So by the time you get to the top, you get to know how your paintbrush reacts with the water. And again, that's another nice way of working. What was the OMG for, Artsy Marilyn? Did I say something wrong, or did I miss something? If anybody wants to say anything, pop it into caps, because then in fact, although I like to give things away, I haven't got an Etsy shop, sorry. I could pop it in the Etsy shop, a sheet with all the colours on, just one drop. Is that an idea? Do we think that's an idea? Because it's not a liquid, so posting wise, it should be okay. And you could use it in an aeroplane then. There's no reason why you can't use liquid watercolour on an aeroplane if it's in a dry form. Unless I'm wrong, am I? Oh, I could do that. I could do that, couldn't I? They could be free if somebody just paid postage. If I put that on my website, do you think that would work? Because I don't mind wasting a set of them. Because if I gave a drop to everybody, there'd be quite a few. I've got to leave that because I've lost that nice flow there. So that would be another idea, wouldn't it? And then everybody could have a play. I mean, if you did lots of things, it wouldn't last you a long time, but a couple of drops would, wouldn't it? I mean, I've done about 10 pages. do we think to that? Do you think that would work? That might work, wouldn't it? We'll see how we go. I'll get Inktober out the way, and then see, all I'm doing again is still just a couple of strokes into there, and that's given me. For some reason, I must have missed that. I don't know how I did that, but I did that. But because it's at the end, I can quickly get in there and tease that out. I think I've got a bit of a kink on this paintbrush, and if I use it in a certain direction, it doesn't like it. It's not as neat as it can be, but so tomorrow I wanted to do. I might live stream on Wednesday. Let's see if I can do some live streaming from the Abbey. See if it'll work. It might not work. Hopefully it will. Tomorrow, what I was going to do is do a page of my little book. So I'm going to make my little book. Oh, thanks, Timothy. Right, yes, we'll have a go at that then. I'm going to make my little book, and every week for the first session, I'm going to put a page together. So the first week could be these. These are mine, the same as here, but I've used them. But there's tons of colour in there. So that's my idea. So tomorrow, which is Tuesday, I'm going to go back to the bigger brush now, look. So that's what that peacock looks like. So if I turn that very carefully this way, I've got my natural curve again. And I think that's what I was missing before, and it's difficult when you haven't got your natural curve. So because that's a bigger area, I'm going back to the 0 rigger. So again, just dunking it flat into there. And as I say, it's got to be a baby wipe, because if it's not a baby wipe, the kitchen roll takes off too much. And makes a big difference with a bigger brush. So again, you've got to go back into kind of bigger brush, quicker mode. But because that's a natural curve of my wrist, there's no pressure on my hand, which is good for me. And I do get a real natural curve. Oops, sorry. Oops, it's a little bit dark, but again, technically it's under that one, so that would work. But you can't stop. It's like the chameleon pens. You've got to keep going. And to get that really natural flow. So I'm just going to do under here, because I wanted I've just done just below there because it's easy. So if I did this, does everybody come back? It must be a setting on the computer that kind of upsets me, because I do everything I do normally, and it's not working. No, it doesn't like that for some reason. Not sure why. Never mind. We'll see what happens to that. Sorry about that. I think I've just knocked that off. So, right. So again, just keep going. A fairly damp brush, because again, there's a lot of water in this brush. It's a big brush, even though it's only damp. It's going to hold a lot of water that is going to tease out that colour. Oh, Oh, thanks, Timothy. As I say, welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream for Ustream, so I'm trying to read a little bit of chat and kind of colour in as well. And I'm using a damp brush with a Dr. Martens hydrus. And just put that there. Does that one go over there? Does that one go over there? Interesting. Oh. No, I'm going to put that one there. I could have made that one go behind it, but I'll put that one there. Let me see. Is everybody okay if I kind of... Oh, we're back. I don't know what I do. I think it's the setting on the computer. It must be. So, I'm going to do the easy ones first, like always with the colour book, because there's going to be some complications behind there, I think. So I'm picking these off first, so I can just have a nice colour. I think that was that one. And that's why it's a good idea if I'd have photocopied this and had a play. By the time I'd finished it, I would have known roughly how much dampness I needed in the brush for each individual shape. Oh, we're back on, are we? That's good. That's good. So that one kind of goes up there and goes on there. Oh, so that's a normal one. So again, just a bit of a stroke onto there, and again, this paintbrush, because I've used it in a certain position all the time, it has a little bit of a dip at the end, and so the paintbrush wants to work in a certain way. I'll pull that up there and then curve down. But it's got to be a bit easy for me, I have to say. There's hardly any colour going back in that water, so, and I've stroked again. I'm just, sorry, I'm just at the wrong angle for that. And you go over your lines if you're not comfortable. And that's a little bit pale, is that one? So I could either go in with this one, and just have the smallest amount of colour. And tease that across quite like that, I think. And again, it's damp, it's done. It's not going to mess up. I'm sure there's somebody out there that I met somebody the other day, and I said they've got all these colours in there, and he says, but you don't need all those colours. And I thought, well, you don't, but it's nice to have them when you're out and about, because you can't colour mix if you're in hospital, if you're in a train. If you're on an aeroplane, you can't sit there and get your tubes of paint out and start. Well, I don't think you can. I mean, I used to do years ago, but I really don't think you can do that now. Whereas dry bits of pigment can't upset anybody. So I'm going to go to this, I think I might go, I'm going to work that a little bit drier now, I think. Because this is, no, I'm going to go to the smaller brush. Definitely go to the smaller brush. Because I want, whoa, 3 paintbrushes on the floor. Dear goodness. Sorry about that. Right. So again, that's the colour of the water. That's my water pot. And that's a little bit of colour there. That's where I've been kind of dunking it and twisting it. But I love the fact you don't waste any colour with these. I have to love these. I do have to. So thanks for popping in, everybody. As I said, I'm still going to finish behind this peacock now. So again, if I'd have done a photocopy, I would have known instantly how to do this. So again, I should have practiced what I preach, shouldn't I, really? And then I would have known instantly, quickly, which brush to use for which particular area. But it's still quite nice to do this. But I do like a practice, I have to say, because if you spent £10 on a book, you want it to look quite nice. And I'm quite enjoying this kind of this way of kind of just. Now I did 3 there, so this should be darker. You see, 3 strokes and the paint is darker. So if anybody's got any questions, pop them in caps, please, and then I may be able to. Some people popping in and out miss things that I've already said. So this is a live stream for Ustream.tv and also recorded for YouTube for people to catch up on at a later date. But I must admit, I love the chat because everybody has a laugh and a good time. And broke my rule there. And followed that one round, but it's got to be that one in order anyway. So I've got 4 and I've got 3, but it doesn't matter because they're all going the same way really. They're all kind of being quite dark there and then popping out there. So is everybody okay with that? Have I missed anybody? Oh, welcome, Muesli. Hi, Guy. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream for Ustream.tv and also recorded for YouTube for all the lovely YouTubers. And I'm so excited to have got to 100 subscribers. I'm in awe of anybody that wants to listen to me droning on and on and on and on. But I do hope you get some tidbits and helpful information along the way. And so that's what we've done so far. And I wasn't going to do that. I've just realised I was going to do that. I was going to work from purple to green. So, made a boo-boo. But again, if I'd have practiced that, I would have worked that out. But never mind. It's fine. It's fine. It is what it is. I could possibly use the orange. So let's have a look. Oh, that's not an orange. That's the red. And it's the reddy red. I quite like that one. So what I might do is, again, all I've done is wet the brush and stroked into that dot of red, and because I'd messed about, it had had time to dry. So do this one. So this is again, if I had done a photocopy, I would have known what I was doing. Just tease that colour up. And again, it's reacting like it did when I did the thumper one. I'm having some darks and lights and some paler shades. As long as you don't do the same colour to get next to each other, you should get some nice variations. And I wish I could see just how much I'm using. Like nothing at all. Still have to work with a damp brush though. It's the key with the brush. That's the magic. It's that dampness in that brush that's teasing that colour out. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. Working in the Aviary book with the Dr. Martens hydrus. But I've let them dry, and again you've got more control because you've let them dry. So I can get some variations in colour. Timothy says, I want those hydrus paints. Yeah, they're pretty. I have to say, I do love them, and I haven't done them justice really. So I say when we get Inktober out the way, I'm going to really do some proper colour mixing. And again, once the drops of, I'm going to make the drops of different colours, and once they've dried, I've got those colours for quite a while. So again, I think that will be quite interesting as well. But because they're so pigmented, there's going to be some pretty good colours in there. I'm making this one up, as I say, as I go along, which I shouldn't have really done. I should have had a bit of a play, but never mind. These colours are just wonderful to use straight out of the bottle. But you do have that little bit more control if you let them dry overnight first. And one drop goes an awful long way. And it's a tight Yorkshire lass, I love that. So is everybody okay with that? Everybody happy? As I say, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm having a bit of a play. I don't know if I like that colour or not there, but it's there now. I should practice what I preach, and I should have photocopied it and had a play, like I did with the Colin Thompson one. And then things I hated, I could have not done at that time. But never mind, it's done now. It's coloured in. I don't really like the orange. Well, it's not an orange, that's the deep red. But it's done now, so. As I quite enjoyed that, I have to say. Can you do that peacock feather next? Or I could do the different coloured feathers. Shall I do them differently? Or shall I do them differently? Each peacock feather a different colour? Because then behind you'll get some nice variation. What do we think to that? I think I might do that because there's 20 different colours there. So I think that would give some quite nice contrast. Just going to have a quick slurp. Is everybody okay with that? It doesn't tell me how long I've been recording on this one, so what I might do is I might stop that recording. So if I put my goggles on, I can zoom out carefully. You can see the whole page. You can see the whole page. So it's not completely ruined, but you know, it's. I should have probably done a practice. So that's taught me a lesson. Taught me a lesson. Bring back my little crayons. Oh. It's not behaving itself, really, is it? It's not behaving itself. Sorry about that. So what do you think, guys? Do you think that was okay? I'm pretty sure I'm going to... You think different colours? Yeah. Yes, I think, and that'll be like a play. That'll show me all the different colours and what I can get out of them. Which, as I say, I should have done on a photocopy. I think that will do. So I'll stop this recording at the end of part 1, and then we'll carry on with some different colours.